Life Behind the Badge. This is episode number 2. I'm Travis Adams. I'm here with Brandon Lovett.
Today on the second episode, we're going to, like we talked about in the initial introductory episode, it's going to be a Q&A style format. All the questions that you guys left, we're going to try to go through and answer a few of those. Also, at the end of this episode, we'll be doing our giveaway for the Yeti Cups. Anybody that answered or asked a question on that post automatically entered. We're going to do 2 separate drawings. The first drawing is going to be for the guys. Second drawing is going to be for the girls. So we'll get to that. Me and Travis both talked about this. We look forward to answering some of these questions. Unfortunately, due to time, we probably won't get through every one of them. But they may come up again later. So this ought to be interesting. I look forward to it. I know he does. He's picking a few out, and I'll let him get.
Yeah, we picked a few questions out, and we'll give a shout out to the folks who dropped the questions. We appreciate your input and everybody getting this thing up off the ground. We've had a lot more interest than we thought. I've been really surprised by the feedback we got, and really enjoyed looking through all the questions and the comments we got after the last episode. We hope this thing continues to grow a little bit. We did find, we go back to the office, and believe it or not, our guys give us quite a bit of criticism, and they constructive, I guess, if you want, but take it as you will. We developed some thick skin being around some of these guys we work with, but I found out that all the guys know that I'm a little bit ADHD, so I have a hard time when I'm not talking or something, staying focused, and my hands and my eyes start to wander. So
Yeah, I don't know what to do with my hands if I'm not talking.
Yeah, kind of like Ricky Bobby on here. I'm not sure what to do with my hands. But anyways, we try to keep this a little bit raw. It's not super scripted. We want it to be as genuine and authentic as possible. But thanks again for your input and all the feedback and all the questions you dropped. We really enjoyed that, and we'll get going. We're just going to jump into this as soon as we get done with all our questions and stuff. We'll get into the Yeti Cup giveaway. I appreciate Brandon kind of took care of all that. I owe him a few dollars, but we'll get into that later. He makes more money than me anyways. But anyways, so our first question is going to come from Zach Tabor. Zach, appreciate you reaching out. Enjoyed the question. And Zach's question was, what is your opinion on police uniforms? And I'll let Brandon kind of jump into that and give his first take on that. I think we both wore some different uniforms. I know I have with different departments and different uniforms when I started over here. But we'll just kind of jump into that and our opinions on that.
So initially, when I first got hired, our first uniform setup was pretty basic. It was a collared 511 shirt, an inner vest, a Class A belt, and then some brown Class B, what they call pants, just more or less cargo pants. I've had to wear the Class A uniform some. Travis has more experience with that than I do. Generally, when I've worn that, it's just been in a courtroom setting. Personally, I'm 100% on board with practical over, I ain't going to say professional, because you can still look professional in a dress down uniform, but 100% on board with practical versus the old school Class A. Comfort, durability, even in my opinion, I think the optics changed in this day and time, and I feel like it looks as good if you do it the right way. And generally, if you're wearing that Class B uniform, you're probably going to have an outer carrier on, and so that for me is a huge plus. Those are way more comfortable, not near as hot. They're easier to clean. They don't tend to smell as bad. So yeah, I'm all for the Class B / dress down police uniform.
Yeah, I'm on board. I mean, 100%, especially in the patrol capacity. I just think the practicality of the more tactical look or the Class B uniform with the outer carriers, 100% is the way to go. I don't think you can, as far as officer safety and stuff, I don't think you can come up with a valid argument to debunk that. And especially like your different environments. Our environment, I mean, we're very rarely on blacktop, We're on a daily basis. We're in the woods through briars and weeds and wading through tree limbs, tall grass. This time of year, it's usually, the ground's soft and muddy and stuff. I don't think the county could afford to equip us if we wanted to wear, a full out Class A uniform. We would tear those apart.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that they would last very long at all.
Check it, make sure we're not having any
We're still here.
technical difficulties here.
We're
Screen
still
went
here.
black there for a second. We're still here, but yeah, for us, especially in the county and the environment we work, we're off road a lot. We're not on blacktop very much. You know, your standard traffic stops, and we're working collisions and stuff. Other than that, we're on some dirt roads and off in the weeds quite a bit.
Yeah, you touched on it initially, but cost effectiveness too. There's a pretty big difference in what kind of like our standard uniform today versus a Class A uniform you'd see a state trooper in or a BGPD officer in. The cost difference in that is pretty substantial. And in my opinion, the durability is a lot better. So I like that question. I thought that's a
Yeah, I don't know how much experience you had with wearing all of your gear on your belt and getting in and out of a car. It's a pain in the butt, and I know when I switched over to the uniforms we wear here, and you have if you can take just a couple of your items and put them up on your chest or something.
Game changer.
Oh man, it's a game changer. It's just more comfortable, and there's a little bit of a cool factor too. So that's the trend now for that is the tactical look, I guess.
And there's nothing better than ripping that outer carrier off when it's 100 degrees.
Oh, July, August, man.
You can let yourself breathe a little bit.
Absolutely. So for us, I think you can hands down say that it is more reasonable for us to wear the uniforms we wear. We wear the outer carriers, the more what some people would call the more tactical look. But just from the nature of the job and what we do, I like the Class A's. I love the looks of it. I like the professionalism. I think they're clean, and I think they definitely have a place. For us, it's court related events or special occasions, funerals, parades, anything like that. You know, we do have a Class A uniform that we wear, and it looks pretty sharp. But day-to-day work, patrol capacity, 100%. The tactical is practical for us.
True that.
You got anything else on the uniforms?
No, I don't. I appreciate that question. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, it's a good uniform. That's a hot topic. I know, especially with guys that work at departments where they've not shifted over yet to the outer carriers. And it's more the outer carriers and everything, and being able to wear like a Molly vest where you can take some attachments off that belt and put them on there.
Yeah.
It makes a world of difference. I don't know if there's any chiefs out there watching or people that make those decisions, but take care of your peoples.
They'll love you for it.
They'll love you for it. So it's a good way to go. We'll move on to the next question. We'll answer it. Come from Lauren Cherry, and Lauren asked, "What keeps you going, and what keeps you showing back up?"
That's a good one. I think this is one of those questions that you could talk about for hours and hours. Off the top of my head, I do better that way. Obviously, family. Family's a big one. That helps me to keep going. And then also your guys that we work with. When you build a different type of relationship with these guys in this capacity, working with them, than you do say just a coworker. And that, I don't mean no disrespect by this, but a coworker, a different type of job. More times than not, the guys we work with, working together, we trust each other with our lives, literally. So you build a different type of relationship there. So those guys depending on you and you depending on them, I think that motivates a lot of guys to keep going. I know it does me, because just like anybody else, there's been plenty of times in this job where it wouldn't hurt my feelings a bit to hang it up. But I feel obligated to those guys. I feel like you'd be letting those guys down. So for me, family and of course the guys we work with, those are my two biggest ones.
Yeah, for me, just as far as keeping me going, I thoroughly enjoy the job. I like a lot of things about the job. Now I've worked mostly only in a patrol capacity, but I enjoy making traffic stops. I enjoy the opportunity when we get to help people. Unfortunately, like collisions and stuff, I don't like to see them, but I enjoy the opportunity, to get out there and help them and try to comfort people, especially when there's children involved. That's kind of what seems like what all our guys gravitate to. When there's a time of need, we want to help those children and kind of keep them as comfortable as possible. Especially like in domestic related instances or collisions. I like to be there for the kids and stuff. Some other things that keep me going. I just enjoy the job at this point. I'm still relatively young in the job, so I've got a lot of drive still so far. As far as showing back up, what keeps me going, like Lovett said over here, is mostly is just the guys. Sorry, we keep having some technical difficulties, so if we get up and touch the screen or something, just disregard everything.
Bear with us.
Bear with us.
Bear
Yeah.
with us. We're still brand new.
Yeah, we'll get there. As far as showing back up, definitely the guys around me. I feel obligated that you show up and you show up in a professional manner. And when I say a professional manner, that means taking care of your body, being in shape. We don't have the freedom to go out and we could go out if we wanted to. You couldn't go out and party all night and come back in and your body dragging and stuff. It's not fair to you, to the guys you work with, and your family. So, I know I'm on the same page with a lot of guys we work with. Physical fitness is big for us, and taking care of your body and trying to be at the most peak performance you can to successfully navigate this job and take care of the guys you work with, and to get back home to your family. And if you ever hear a question like in a law enforcement training stuff, you may have an instructor ask a guy, what's your main objective for patrol, and you won't hear many good law enforcement officers say, oh, it's for me to get back home. It's the mindset that I feel like our guys have. I want to see that the guy to the left and the right of me, that they make it back home to my family. And then obviously I want to get back home to my family too.
I agree.
But when you got a bunch of guys like that think like that and truly believe like that, it kind of puts the pressure on you to perform outside of work, to keep your body in shape and do what you got to do to stay trained up and ready to go.
Yep.
So that's some of the stuff that keeps me going and keeps me showing back up.
Yep. I agree. I think that was another good question. I know I've said this already before. We've had a lot of good questions. We appreciate it. I've really enjoyed reading these and getting the answer. What do you got next, Travis?
All right, from good buddy down in the big state of Texas, Tim Paxton. I appreciate you reaching out, man, and shooting me a text and stuff. Great to hear from you. Tim asked the question, do you think it's important to have close friends who are not in police work? And if so, what is the benefit of this?
Tim, appreciate the question. For me, it's a catch-22 for me. I feel like it is important to have some friends that aren't in the police world. I think the biggest benefit to this would be probably that it's something totally different. So like if me and Travis hang out on a Saturday night, more times than not, we're probably going to talk about something work-related, which ain't always a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm actually an advocate for that. That's part of the reason why we started this whole deal. But I do think it's good to be able to turn that off, and maybe even if we'll take it a step further and it's a friend that you were friends with way before you ever got into law enforcement. I think it's good to keep that established, keep it going. And yeah, I think the biggest benefit would be solely the fact that you're not expected, or the topic of work may not be as available. To your second part of this question, do you find it hard to turn off and keep police work at work, not bring it home to your family? I do think that's difficult. It's kind of like learning to be a cop, in my opinion. I think that's something that you kind of learn as you go. But yeah, I do find it hard sometimes to turn it off. Not so much now. I'm almost 10 years in. It's pretty easy for me to shut the door on that car when I get home and forget about it until I get a phone call or something. But yeah, I think it was initially, but I think it's a skill that's learned like anything else over time.
Yeah, Tim, I think it's important to have some folks outside of the law enforcement world that you can lean on. And anybody that's worked in the law enforcement capacity, especially in a small town, and you go out, what people know what you do for a living. Yep. You're always getting questions and stuff about that. For me, I would say mostly that crowd for me is mostly my family. We do a lot of family stuff. We have a Wednesday night family dinner and a Sunday night family dinner. So that's kind of my time to escape and try to get away from the police world for a little bit. At this point in my career, I don't really mind. I enjoy, for the most part, talking about it. I know when I first started that, and you were probably the same way. That's all I want to talk about. Yeah,
Oh,
please,
yeah.
please ask me some police questions. Ask me what I did today. Ask me what I did today. And it doesn't take real long when you go on and you don't welcome those questions anymore. You know, when you get home and all you've done is talk to people and kind of try to work through problems with people, and you're playing counselor and police officer and all that stuff. The last thing you want to do when you get home is ask some questions. And it's hard, but you don't want to take that out on your family. You don't want to kind of blow them off and stuff. But you got to find a happy medium there. Yeah. And I know the wives know. And,
oh yeah, mine does 100%.
Yeah, they do, and they want to. They get nosy too, want to know too. So try to be patient with them and answer the questions and give them some love too. But I know sometimes when I come home, I'm done being nice. Like I've used all my niceness today. I just want to relax and be alone.
Yeah, I have the same feeling, and Ailey would attest to that. I feel like pretty quick.
Yeah. So I think it is important to have some friends outside of law enforcement. You know, I think it's important once you get into law enforcement. It's really hard because you working on schedule, especially when you first start. If you're working mid shifts, like during the day or the afternoons, or you're working night shift, you kind of lose the availability to participate in those hobbies that you had before. But I think it's important to try to hold on to some of those hobbies and stuff. You know, if you fish or play golf or go hunting or whatever, it's important to stay involved in that because you do need an escape from the job, or it can eat you alive and consume your life. But
yeah, I feel like that's one of the big benefits of just the amount of time you're in that. You know, naturally you're going to experience more things, and then you're also going to learn some things from those experiences. And some of those things I've learned is when it's time to turn it off, you need to turn it off. Try not to let that stay with you for hours and days and months, because it adds up. It adds up quick. So, yeah, I agree with Travis. Tim, I think that was a great question.
Yeah, you talk about all these. I mean, you don't think about it while you're in it. You look back, and anybody that's been in law enforcement very long, you've been involved in some critical incidents, no matter where you're at. Some places more than others, but you've probably all been involved in them. And those things can start to chip away at you a little bit and try to kind of harden your heart a little bit. But we try to keep it fun and keep a sense of humor and you got to be serious about it and professional about it. But if you take it too serious, it's going to eat you alive. So
that's right. You got to laugh.
Yeah.
You got to laugh.
Next question. I really like this question, Zach. This is from Zach O'Neill, and Zach asked, "Do you think, with all the training you all receive, that you're always fully prepared, or do you find yourself having to adjust or adapt a lot to the certain situations you're in?"
Zach, I'm gonna tell you something I never told nobody. I don't think I've ever been prepared fully in my entire life.
I think that's a great question.
It is a good question. I like it.
It's good. We're very fortunate at our department. I'd like to give a shout out to some of our leadership. You know, our chief deputy is huge on training, and he's a big advocate for training and physical fitness. And that's something that kind of trickles down to the guys in our department. And we struggle with it just like anybody else. We can always be better than we are right now, but we're definitely not as bad as we ever think we are. So we take our training very seriously. We have a scheduled training. It's not random, and it's not once every 3 or 4 months. We train on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and it's dedicated to different scenarios. And a lot of times, some of the scenarios we're presented with on the job kind of determine what kind of training we do. I know if in the military, and you said you're in the military, I appreciate your service too also, but you can't fully train. I just don't think you can fully be prepared for some of the scenarios that are thrown at you.
I think a lot of that comes from this is an old generic saying for this, but it holds true in my opinion. You know, the many hats that law enforcement has to wear as a whole. I don't know that a person can be fully trained, you know, for every scenario. I think you can touch on them all. I think you can become proficient in most, but I don't know if you could ever be fully prepared. Man, just here in small town, Allen County, Kentucky, over 10 years, there's been several times that we've, not just me, him included, some others, you kind of get caught in a spot where you just kind of stop for a second. And go, man, I never had this happen before, So I think you can try to fully prepare yourself. I don't know that you can, but just to echo what Travis had mentioned, our command staff really good about training and making sure that we meet that, especially the chief deputy. That's kind of like his baby, so he stays on top of it. We're training, if not every week, bi-weekly, and we're trying to stay fully prepared. All the big stuff I feel pretty good on. There's always some little niches and things, with the mini hats we wear that I don't think you ever be fully prepared for.
No, I think as we go along, though, as I've got more experience at the job, you kind of adjust a little quicker and a little more efficient on the fly. And you're not standing there like a deer in the headlights, afraid to make the wrong decision. And there's a lot of decisions we can make, and some of them come down to officer safety and and people's rights and are we doing the right thing and stuff. And the good thing about where we work and the guys we got, we don't have a moral or ethical problem, so you don't have to worry about the guy beside you and stuff. But it's an ever-changing process. The laws and rules which we have to play by, they're ever-changing, and we have to grow. And I think an important part of this job is continued education and continued training. And so we go to the academy for 20 weeks, and then they send you back and then require you to only have 40 hours of training a year after that. So you think about all the stuff we do, and they only mandate that you have, the state mandates that you have 40 hours of continued training a year.
Yeah.
That's 1 week, that's 5 days out of the year, so it's not very much.
No, it's not near enough.
So if you have a department like ours, they see that that's not exactly what we need to be the best we can be. We do a lot of what we call in-house training and sustainment type things, excuse me. So I'm grateful for our department and the fact that they take training serious in that. But to answer your question, Zach, and as you probably feel the same way, I don't think you're ever always prepared, and it does take some adjustments on the fly. But we train up the best we can to make those adjustments a little bit smaller and easier. And a lot of times we go back and we look in the mirror and realize we've got to train a little harder, or we've got to look at things a little different. But I appreciate the question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I do too. That was a good one. That was a really good one. We've got a bunch of good ones.
Yeah, shoot. You got another one, Brandon?
Yeah.
I've got one in a minute I want to answer, but I'll let you pick one out.
Yeah, this one I want to take care of real quick. Jody Pitchford.
No.
So a little backstory before I read this question. And I could talk about Jim Spears for days and days. He used to run the golf course out on Highway 100 there, High Point Fairway. It was the first job I ever had. I was lucky enough to work with that guy for several summers, 3, 4, 5.
Good man.
And he was like a grandpa that I never had. So I have all the respect in the world for him, his family. But his daughter's question was, this one's for Brandon. What is one thing you learned while working for my dad that has helped you in your career today? He'd be so proud of things. There's so many good entities about that fella, but the one that probably sticks out the most for me would probably be his toughness. He was a tough guy, and I know that sounds generic, but I mean it in a serious way. He was, whenever he initially started to go downhill a little bit, he had a lot of medical issues, a lot of different surgeries back to back, had some trouble with his eyes, and through the whole thing, he always maintained the same friendly Jim that I've always known. He was always trying to get up and move, or stay busy, stay at it. So for me, toughness is probably the easiest one for me to talk about when it comes to Jim, and I think he's probably as tough as you'll ever find, or ever would have found. So that was an easy one for me. I appreciate the question, and I don't know if you got anything you want to add.
Yeah. I knew Jim in a little bit different aspect. His grandson Justin Spears played baseball for me back in my teaching and coaching days, and I got to coach Justin as he was coming up, and I know Jim would be super proud of Justin for sure. And he always was when he was around. But when I was coaching baseball, and I coached Justin in like summer ball and at the high school level and stuff, And Jim didn't miss a game.
No,
It didn't matter where we were at. He was going to be there to see Justin.
that's
And
right.
Justin, I know you know what your grandfather thought about you,
Oh, yeah.
and you should be proud of that. He was a good man. But something I can take from Jim is no matter where you were at and how busy the times were, he was very good about taking time to talk to you, and he was a very genuine man.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed a conversation with Jim, and I know that he'd be proud of his grandson and stuff. So
Yes,
kudos to you, Justin.
Yep, good job, JJ.
I've got a question. Let me scroll down here and find it.
Hit this pad real quick. What dollar?
A second. There it is. There it is. We kind of switch gears here a little bit. That way we're getting a little too serious here. We're just not super serious guys,
No.
so we don't want to take too long being super serious. But I got a good question. So I come from a teaching background, and then working in a relatively rural small town. I was involved in athletics and stuff, so I know a number of kids. If you were in the school system for any amount of time, you develop a relationship with a number of people and their kids and stuff. And I had a former colleague in the educational field ask me, do you ever encounter any of your former students? And,
I like this question.
and I think I got set up for this because I tell all kinds of stories about this. I just think it's kind of funny, not always in the way that it happens, but it is comical. And it happened today. It happens almost on a daily basis. I get referred to as Mr. Adams or Coach Adams, or oh no, it's Mr. Adams.
A lot of the Mr. Adams you get aren't good ones. It's like,
yeah.
Mr. Adams.
Oh gosh, it's Mr. Adams. So well, in the field I worked in, I did a lot more behavioral stuff in the school setting. So I got the opportunity to try to mold some kids and stuff. And now these kids are adults, and a lot of them are doing very well, and some of them are still growing, and it's part of life. And we're not going to throw out any names or not, but I do get to see some of my former students and their parents, and sometimes it's in good situations, sometimes it's in bad situations, and sometimes it's kind of like payback. You remember, you remember what you put me through when you were a student. So yeah, there are a ton of times when I encounter some former students and stuff, and even kids that play ball for me and things. And I like it a lot better when it's in a positive situation instead of a negative connotation. But that's the unfortunate thing about our job. A lot of times when we see people, it's not their best day or their best moment, and
we're not there for a birthday party most of the time.
Yeah, and it's nothing personal against them. Everybody has got to grow up sometime. We all have bumps in the roads, but I get referred to as Mr. Adams or Coach Adams or the teacher. I had some older lady at a house we used to frequent quite a bit, and there were some young adults there that I had in school around that area in that neighborhood who had been in and out of trouble and stuff, and I had to go talk to this lady about, it might have been a theft report or something, and I went to the door, and she said, "Are you the one they called the teacher?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably me. That doesn't sound like a positive connotation. Why do you ask?" And she was like, "Well, they said you weren't very nice." Well, when I'm putting them in the back of my car in handcuffs, they probably don't think I'm very nice at the time, but that's really not my fault, to be honest. So
No, I've got a job to do.
I appreciate that question, Shannon. That was a good one. I kind of enjoy talking about that, and it's funny, I see people. I had somebody today call me Mr. Adams, like I was still a teacher. So it's cool. I welcome it. It's no big deal. I've got a question. I want to kind of spur of the moment. I haven't really thought about this one at all, but from our jailer, Tim Metter. Shout out, Tim Metter. I appreciate you reaching out and getting on here. I know I spoke to you the other day about it. We've got similar backgrounds, starting a career that was not law enforcement stuff. But Tim asked, what is the best advice you've been given when you started your career? And I don't know for me if I'll be able to give you the best advice I got, because I've got a lot of advice, some of it good, some of it not so good.
Yeah, me too.
What's something you think of?
Probably, it's going to sound generic, but again, it's a lot of the stuff that's generic sounds generic if it's been repeated so many times. But a lot of times, this stuff gets repeated because it's true. especially in our field of work. But set yourself up to win. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but and I don't mean it in a way of like coworker versus coworker. But I'm talking about it in the aspect of you're answering a call or something, and you're somewhere. You just want to give yourself an advantage, whatever that advantage is. That's what you want to try to do. At the end of the day, what matters is you being able to go home and be where you need to be safely. So for me, that's a big one. I've had a lot of advice given to me over the years, but that's probably most generic, but it holds true. And I feel like that's a pretty good one. What do you got, Travis?
I've got one. I always you drum back. This actually wasn't in. Sorry, let me text my wife real quick. It wasn't into some of the advice I got. I wasn't actually in law enforcement field yet. It was when I was in education. But standing around listening to some of the old heads talk and stuff, and trying to soak up some of this wisdom. I heard, and I'll paraphrase it because I don't remember it word for word, but it kind of stuck with me. And I've got a couple other pieces of advice. But I heard Coach Cooper, talking to somebody about education and more of a life lesson. And it was, don't just get to where you're going and stop doing what you're doing. Once you get to where you reach your goals, you may want to set some new goals or continue to work. Don't just set a goal and get to a certain position and stop moving your feet. Continue to grow, continue to get better, and every day like that. And I was always told playing baseball that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. You're taking a step back.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
I think I got somebody that wants to come on here and say hi real quick.
Come on in here, Nolan.
Tell them, say hey.
Here, put these on.
Okay.
Tell them who you are.
Here, talk to him. Here, hold on a second. I'll be back. Sit down there, Nolan.
Alright.
There you go.
Tell them who you are. How old you are.
Hi, my name's Nolan Adams and I'm 9 years old.
What grade are you in?
I'm in 3rd grade.
What's your favorite 3 things about school?
Recess, lunch, and PE.
Oh, that's my 3.
That's a good one.
Maybe not. I was a chunky kid in school. Mine might have been lunch, recess, then PE. But I liked them all. I appreciate you stopping by, dude. Go do your chores. We got a surprise visit here
See you, dude.
in the Adams household. Sorry about that.
We like Anthony Brown.
Yeah, he's been dying to get on here. He thinks we're famous or something. He thinks this is great. So he's been dying to get on here.
Big time, small time.
Some other advice I heard is from the baseball field. A lot of things I learned about leadership and stuff came from my time in athletics and education stuff. But the University of Louisville's baseball coach, I heard him say at a clinic one year, and he talked about living where your feet are. So a lot of times, and this can apply to anything in life, that we get ahead of ourselves and we get so zeroed in on the future and where we want to be that we forget about where we're at and doing the good work that we need to do in the situation that we're in. So that's just a couple pieces of advice I've got that I remember.
Yeah, I think all those are good, make sense, and are applicable to not just our job, but
At law enforcement wise, I would say some of the best advice that I've got is, it's obvious, but is your physical fitness. I don't have a specific quote or anything like the other ones, but just staying fit because it's so important to our job. And I wish we could buy into that more as a whole, as a group, as a profession. But we owe it to each other. We owe it to our families and everybody else around us, because you never know when something's going to pop off and things are going to get crazy, or when you're going to need to use that fitness.
that's right. There's been countless times where we'll get somewhere and don't have the availability or
Or you don't want to get smoked on a foot chase.
That's true.
You're going to hear about that.
And by the way, I'm undefeated.
Yeah.
That's a long one.
I hope you get one tomorrow.
I probably will.
All right, shit. Let's put another one on there. What you got?
This one's a quick one. I like it though. I think this is a question that probably a lot of people wonder or have wondered. It was by Sydney Do you have a lot of situations where you're scared? Yeah. Anybody that says no is lying to you.
Yeah. If you hadn't been scared, you say you hadn't been scared.
Yeah.
One, you're either crazy and you've got some mental problems,
Yeah.
or you're just lying.
Yeah. Courage is, I feel like a bigger factor in this than fear is. I think the fact that you can be scared, still maintain your composure, be able to operate in that headspace, I feel like that's probably a lot more prevalent in our line of work than I'd say just being scared all the time. For me, fear is generally just a quick thought. Like it's not something. It's something that I might think about when we're on our way to something that comes off a little sideways or a little hinky, but it's not something I dwell on because I learned a long time ago being scared it's not going to change anything. So I try to spend more of my time. I may be scared for a split second, like you kind of like tell yourself, oh man, well, this could be bad, but you saddle up and go anyway. So I try not to dwell on it. But yeah, there's been a bunch of situations where I've been scared.
Oh yeah, a ton. And there's usually, that, the saying that'll make that hair on the back of your neck stand up, that literally happens, and it happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed to say it, but
No, me either.
like I said, you just got to saddle up and do it. You're not going to let your buddies be hung out to dry and stuff, or when you've got to go help somebody, it's just part of the job. You don't want to be that guy who's not showing up, or who's dodging a call, or who's driving a little bit slower because they don't want to be the first one on scene. Sometimes we just got to get up and go, and we'll handle it when we get there, and we'll do the best and be as tactically sound as we can.
Yep, and that's guys know who those guys are. It don't take long for guys to figure that out. It's normal to be scared. Anybody that says they're not scared is lying to you. But I don't think you can let fear control the way you operate. I feel like when you start doing that, you're more of a danger to somebody than you are help. And so, I think that fear is extremely common in our line of work. But luckily, most guys have the ability to work through that. So I like that question. Have you found any more, Travis?
Yeah. I'm gonna hit on one we had from a buddy. It's if this strikes a nerve, so what? Oh well, that's not what we need it for. But whatever, we'll talk about it because it's probably a hot topic. But which irritates you more, lazy cops or incompetent cops?
Oh yeah.
And that's just laid out there pretty good. I know where we work, we have a lot of type A personalities, and that's just the nature of the job. If you have a bunch of good cops, they're going to be some kind of type A personality guys, and and competitive and want to win and stuff like that. And there's more to it than that. There is an educational and there is some brain behind the job, and that comes back to like that training that Zach O'Neill asked about.
Yep.
It's important for us to be trained up so that we can handle these situations the best we can. But there also comes into it, there is a work ethic, and that comes into the laziness, I guess. You've got to have some type of ethic because this can be a self-driven job.
Yeah.
You're not always on a call all the time. Most of our work comes from people calling in and stuff. But when you're not on that, if you're not doing something, you're not really making yourself a lot better. So there has to be some drive there.
Yeah, there has to be some inner fortitude there to do something. Because if not, it's like he said, it's depending on where you work. If you're not back to calls more times than not, so it's real easy to kind of not do nothing. And guys pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Guys pick up when you slow roll to a call, or guys pick up whenever you just constantly try to push calls off on them, or laziness and being incompetent usually go hand in hand, and they stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, luckily I love the relationship we have with every one of our guys because we can lay it on the table and we can still go to work and be friends later and stuff. But you're going to hear about it if you're not performing, or you're hanging somebody out to dry, or if hey man, you need to carry your load. I don't know what you got going on, but you need to step it up and start handling your stuff. And I know one thing I heard, and I think I heard it on somebody else's podcast. I can't remember who, or I'd give a shout out. But I heard somebody talk about the difference between being being the police and being a cop. You know, people
Yeah.
people want to be a cop's cop. You know, and stuff. And there's a difference between just you know, getting hired and going and getting your certification at the academy and putting on that uniform. You know, that's just the beginning. That's just the training. They call it basic training, and that's what we go to. But when you come back, you know, it's time to be a cop. It's time to go to make some arrests. You know, take people to jail, put bad guys in jail, get some dope off the streets, handle domestic situations. You know, go to Rex and kind of comfort people. So we switch gears a lot, and and I think that's what makes a good cop, when you can go from a foot chase or a fight to helping somebody in need on a collision or going to a fire or whatever it may be, or you may have to assist another agency or another department. So I think there's a huge difference in just being the police and being a cop. Being a cop kind of, to me, means, you know, you're getting out there and you're doing your job, and you're looking to get better.
For me, it's the difference between being a police and being a cop is, it's going to sound generic, but it's true. Some guys do this for the t-shirt. Luckily, that's not a problem that we've had. I said this in the first episode, say it again. We're really lucky. We got some really good guys. It's not an issue, but there are some, and I've met some throughout my career that you can tell that they're there for the t-shirt. They're not the guy that's there to hook up a big scary bad guy trying to break in your back door. They're there to, you know, wave at people on the square and wear the t-shirt. And for the guys that do the work, that's one of the worst things, because you have to kind of tolerate that. And that's for especially young police, like guys that first get into this and they're really wanting to make a change and do some good stuff, and they're working their hind end off, and then they see the other guy, you know, carrying a case a month and not really pulling their weight. That's the worst. So yeah, there's definitely a difference between being police and being a cop in the police. So
Yeah, and I know from our standpoint, and any of the guys I've worked with are kind of trained up, or you know, that they've grown up in this role around me. You know, I think it's big to get out there and work with them, and let them know that you're going to be there when stuff pops off and it gets real and stuff. So just kind of setting that example, you veteran guys, get out there and you know, show them that you know how to do it, and you can still be a cop too. But it's important for them to know that you're there and you're going to be there at the snap of a finger when something does go wrong or they may need you.
that's right.
So that's important. How about just one or two more questions? And just before we finish up, we're going to have some more Q&A sessions, and hopefully this drives our followers to drop some more questions and stuff. I kind of like this. It's pretty cool. So again, we're learning as we go. This is on the fly. We probably won't even do an edit on this video. This is going to be our first one, and we'll let it roll. But I've go ahead if you want one. Or I've got one here. I like to just go pretty simple, generic. But from the county attorney, Ms. Harburn, what's your least favorite part of the job, and what's your most favorite part of the job?
For me, my most favorite part of the job is the flexibility. As tied down as we are, it's still a pretty flexible job. I'm not sitting in an office for 10 hours a day. If we're not on call or I don't have anything going on, if I want to, you know, go grab a drink or go grab a snack or whatever, I have the availability to do it. Also like the fact that I'm not limited to a space. As long as we're in Allen County, we're good. So if I want to patrol in Anchorsville, or I want to patrol in the Dolphins, or I want to patrol near the Warren County line, I can do that. So that's probably what I've always enjoyed the most about this line of work. Just a little bit of freedom that you get versus some other jobs that you can have. Probably the least favorite part of my job.
Court.
Yeah, probably.
Just kidding, Alex.
No, she does a good job. We're lucky to have her. Probably the least.
But seriously,
the least favorite part is probably anything to do with the possibility for me at this point of doing anything involving children. And I don't mean that like if I see a kid somewhere and I got to speak to them, but if it comes to loss, if it comes to injury, if it comes to anything along those lines involving a child, that's by far my least favorite part of my job.
Yeah, we've all got different things that get us, but that's probably a common one. If that doesn't get to you a little bit, there's probably something wrong. But that is definitely one of the worst things about the job: seeing kids hurt or upset or being put in a bad environment. I think we've all got a soft spot for the little ones. My favorite part of the job, I came from education. One of the biggest reasons I got out of education, it wasn't the actual job itself or the people I worked with. I loved our school system, but I just felt like I was cooped up all day, and I'm like a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
There we go.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the freedom of the job, like you said, like being able to get out and you can patrol wherever you want. You know, if you're not tied down to a call, you can get out and go to Acresville, Adolphus, Halifax, anywhere. And then just the many hats we wear, the different things you get to do. So we go to work every day, and I mean, at this point, I don't expect one day to be like the last one. I mean, I get up and go to work tomorrow. I know today when I worked, it was completely like different than yesterday. And a lot of it has to do with what you work with, who you work with, and some of the guys and stuff. And some people like to do different things. Some people run around like a chicken with their head cut off, and you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, they can't pump the brakes.
Can't pump the brakes, but that's all right. That's all right. I'd rather pull the reins back, than have to push them out. But
100%.
but I enjoy the freedom of the job and the fact that no day's the same, and I like the fact that it keeps me on my toes, and it holds me to a little bit higher standard.
Yeah.
I love the camaraderie with the guys and stuff, and our squad room talks in the morning where
we have a blast.
Yeah, so that's a good time. Again, the least favorite things about the job. There's some things that we have to do, and it's just part of the job. And if you're going to be a solid professional, you need to do those just as well. But there are several. I'm not going to name them all, but there's several things that we don't like to do, but we will do them, and we'll do them to the best of our ability. But we didn't get into the job, for certain things like. I don't want to go into too much of the detail because I don't want to make anybody mad on certain areas, but they're all important. Just there's some things folks like doing different than the others.
Yeah, everybody's a little different, just like in anything else. Some people enjoy. Some people enjoy. I'm not gonna say enjoy. Some people are better at some things than others. And like for me, I never had the ability to handle a case involving a child very well. It's just not something that I recognize on my own, and I don't like doing them. I don't enjoy doing them, and luckily, I don't have to do them. So it's worked out great for me. But some guys are good at that. You need those guys. Some guys have the ability to really do great on cases involving children.
Oh man, we're lucky that we've got guys that want to wear different hats, and Nick Tabbert, he does a great job. I mean, that's his area. He's really. I know we've all got a soft spot for kids, but that guy, man, he dives in wholeheartedly and really does a professional job with what he does. And I'm glad that we've got him and that he's thriving in the role he's in.
Yeah, he does a really good job. That job that he does isn't for everybody, like previously stated.
Yeah.
That guy does a really great job with it. He keeps the wheels rolling for us.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got next? You got one on your mind?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're just scrolling through all these. We had a lot of feedback, and we appreciate it, but we're trying to scroll through these and randomly.
This one's from Hannah Kirby. Says, how do you de-stress from your days? What are some ways your family copes with the stress of the job? So at my house, simple is good. I like simple. I don't really need to do anything in particular. I enjoy being at home. I enjoy relaxing at home. I got two little guys running around, so for me, if it's been one of those days, if I have the ability to come home and if it's summertime, take them outside or whatever, watch them play. I think the innocence of my own children and probably any children, but I think watching the innocence of my own children, watching them play or whatever it may be. But for me, a soothing thing is watching them. So that's probably one. It works out good because we got them all the time. So and those two will also be what will stress you out. But
yeah, double-edged sword for sure.
In all seriousness, if it's something awful, then I enjoy that. I enjoy being around them, and they really make a big difference for me. On a family level, Ailey's kind of an OG of a police wife now. she's been in this a while. Me and her was together way before I got into this, so she's been with me before and after. She's kind of figured out the trail to walk when it comes to Brandon Lovett and Bad Buddy. So shout out to her.
Yeah. Shout out to Haley. Good job. Hey, you got a heck of a job on your hands. How do I de-stress from my days? It depends on the day for me. Some days you come home and you can be mad and just frustrated, but when I come home and if somebody hasn't called me or asked me to be on the radio or something, when I walk through the doors, I flip my radio off and I don't sit there and listen to it unless I know the guys have something going on. Then I may get on the radio and monitor it. But last night they had a situation and you're definitely not going to leave them out to dry.
No.
I probably drove Emily nuts. I throw all my clothes on. I'm texting, Lieutenant Lovett and the chief and stuff. I'm like, well, y'all turn on your radios. They got something brewing. Because you just never know when it's going to pop off. So I'm there throwing. And, of course, like Lovett said, it's got to be the coldest night of the year.
Oh, yeah, it never
So
fails.
I'm back there throwing thermals on and stuff, getting ready, and I'm just pacing back and forth, waiting to hear the word, yay or nay. Hey, I need you guys, or y'all can stand down. But sometimes it's easier to de-stress than other days. Most of the time, I come home and I do family stuff. I hang out with my family. I look forward to coming through the door and seeing my kid and my wife and hearing about their days. And I really don't want to answer a lot of questions. I listen to them, but I don't want to answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, me too.
But
Haley would be the first to tell you, I'm not a huge talker. Like, it drives her crazy, especially if it's been a rough week or a rough couple of days. She don't really pick, but it may not even be anything police related. She's asking me at all. It may be, what do you want for supper?
Yeah.
And I'll just say I don't care.
Yeah.
And it ain't that I want to be mean, but
Yeah.
I don't want the problem.
Right.
So I can't say enough good stuff about my wife.
Sometimes I have a problem masking my
Me
feelings.
too.
I guess you can say I wear my feelings on my sleeve a little bit sometimes. But I be laying in bed at night and Emily may ask me some question and I may look over and be like, do you really have to ask me that right now?
Yeah.
Like, that's not important.
Haley knows me better than I know myself.
But unfortunately, sometimes I give her the raw end of the deal on that. But
Me too.
I realize it. And
Me too.
I don't tell her, but I try to be a little bit more patient and realize that they don't see us all day. And we come home, they got some questions to ask and wondering what's going on. So if you look at it from the outside in, you can see why they got some questions and stuff. But you ain't gonna like it, but probably need to give them a
I
little.
got to back up too, real quick. Haley got on to me for this. So the first episode, whenever I was talking about how I got into this, I made the comment that I was single, I wasn't tied down, I didn't have any kids.
You wasn't like legally tied down.
I wasn't legally tied down.
Yeah,
She got on to me. She's like, I was around. Well, you know, I had a girlfriend then?
Was it Facebook official?
Yeah, I think it was probably. Me and her been getting after since 2012.
You were tied down.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So just to back up, I did have a priority. It was her, and we were together.
Yeah.
And we're still together. We made it. Lucky for me.
I'd say by now Haley's not holding everything you say against you.
No, she's not. She'll roll her eyes and keep on with her day.
Yeah. We've had some good ones. We'll get on here and answer Joel Broaden's question. I think it'll be an important question to answer, something we probably don't talk about nearly as enough as we need to. But Joel, always appreciate working with you. Had a good time. Joel asked, does your faith in God help you through the tough times?
150.
I'd say 110%. And we're big, tough guys, and probably one of our biggest problems is, we don't talk about that area of our life enough.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, but sometimes you just got to lean on a big guy. I know I've gone to calls before, and you say a little prayer in your head, or you may say it out loud in the car, or whatever. But it is what it is. So I think the job kind of drives you back to your faith a little bit more. I know it has for me. So
yeah, it has me too.
So Joel, there's definitely sometimes more than others, but I do try to lean on my faith a little bit more since I've been doing this job.
When I initially got into this, I can't remember if I just graduated the academy or if I'd either just graduated or I was getting ready to graduate. And Haley got me you've probably seen it hangs from the rearview mirror of my car. It's a silver cross on a chain. And I've had that hanging there since she gave it to me. And that's, you know, that's something for me. That's what I was talking about earlier with her. Like, she knows me better than I know myself. She's always usually a step ahead of me. But that little gift that she gave me, there's been so many times, whether it be 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, rolling into something by yourself, or rolling in with something with 10 guys and not knowing how it's going to shake out. There's been a million times I've either looked up there at that thing, or I've grabbed it, you know, and said a quick prayer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Joel, 100%. It helps me tremendously, and I think that without the help from God, the faith in God, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble. So yeah, 100%.
I think that by now, if you've done this job for any amount of time, there's some things that don't make sense, and it's just a godly thing.
100%.
And we've been involved in some scenarios like that, some pretty recent ones, and definitely turns you back to your faith and appreciate that. Now, I'd like to, you know, another thing is we've got several guys who are just strong men and good leaders and strong in their faith, and they really set a good example for guys around our department and stuff we work in. So very proud of that.
100%.
Unless you got any other ones that you think of, I think we're going to wrap it up for the Q&A. Unless you got one or two more you want to hit real quick.
No, I think I'm good. I appreciate everybody's input.
Yeah, we're going to get back to some more of these too. So don't fret if we haven't hit your question. There's several more good ones here we'd like to hit, but we don't want to burn everybody out. I know y'all can get tired of listening to us.
Yeah, what are we? About 55 minutes in.
Yeah, a little bit longer episode than last time. So we appreciate all the questions, and don't quit dropping the questions. If you have some more come to mind, drop some more in, because what we want to start doing is we're going to have some guys that come on here and gals, and we want to conduct some interviews. We may have a 3 or 4 person panel on here, and we'll have to work on getting set up for that. But we've got some interviews we want to do, and then we would like to be able to bounce back to some more Q&As, you know, every other week or so, or when we figure out, you know, more of the schedule of the podcast. But we really enjoyed the questions. That was a good time. I hope we get some more questions. Don't hesitate to drop them on the Facebook page. But without further ado, we're going to drop over to the drawing for the Yeti Cups.
Hopefully we didn't do a bad job of answering those. I hope we satisfied your question.
If not, go find another podcast.
Yeah, we'll do better. Let's see. So we're going to do this. The way this giveaway is going to work is we're going to do 2 separate ones. I've got the wheel of names here.
Ladies first.
On my phone. Yeah. Travis has got the women on his. I've got the men on mine. So we're going to do 2 separate giveaways on this with the wheel of names, and we'll see what happens.
All right, here goes nothing.
That way it's fair. We don't want anybody to think we're trying to cheat.
And we're rolling. There it is. Misty Hendricks, congratulations, Misty.
Right,
Misty, just shoot one of us a direct message if you don't care on Facebook, and we'll get with you and we'll get that cup over to you. Congratulations, and thanks for following us. We appreciate the feedback and the input on this. Thank you, Misty.
All right, let me get this thing there. I'll just get some sense real quick. We'll do the men. It's acting crazy. All right, here we go. So we're spinning. I don't know if anybody can see that or not. But Johnny Jeske, you are the winner, sir.
Johnny,
just shoot me or Travis an address. We'll get this cup to you, man.
Johnny, you're gonna have to pay for postage, man. We're a couple cops in Kentucky, man. We'll get the mail back to you.
All right, so yeah, just shoot the information to us, and we'll give it to you, brother.
Hey, Johnny, thanks for jumping on too, man. I appreciate your support. We both got your messages and stuff too. Hope things are going well for you. We appreciate your service in our occupation here. Hopefully, we can get you back home and get you on here someday. I think it'd be cool for the guys to hear from you.
Yep. All right.
All right. Well, y'all stay tuned on our Facebook page. Appreciate you tuning in and taking the time to listen. Take some time and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Hit the like button on the Facebook page. Keep spreading the word and sharing what we've got going on. Again, we appreciate you all for kind of driving this ship, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Take care.